Hey guys, so let's just begin with the session now. So this session, we will be learning basics of web development. So basically that will be including HTML and CSS. And there is a framework called Bootstrap, which is a framework of CSS. So we will be learning that. And first of all, before starting, I would just like to give you all my introduction to who I am. And so basically, I am a second year student, computer science, and I'm pursuing my BTech from Symbiosis Institute of Technology. And parallelly, I'm also doing a degree that is a BSc in data science from IIT Madras. And I'm a full stack web developer. But my main area of interest is backend development. So the framework I use is Django, that is a Python based framework. And for my front end, I use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if it's like more advanced than to be precise, then I use React JS. So this was my introduction. So let's just begin. What exactly is web dev here? So before starting, can I just know if I'm audible and the screen is visible? Could anyone unmute and let me know? Hello everyone, am I audible?
Actually, they won't be able to answer themselves, but they'll be
Okay.
able to type in the chat.
Okay, yeah, so guys, if you all could just, okay, cool. So yeah. So let's just begin what exactly we mean by web development. So guys, web development, the word only tells you what the meaning is to develop websites or web application. So here we use different types of packages or you can call frameworks to develop a website and host it on the internet. So let's just, before starting web dev, we should just get into how a website actually works. So I have a picture here. So like using the picture, I'll just explain it to you all. So as you all can see that we have a search bar out here, and inside that we've written google.com. So when once we write google.com, it sends and request to your internet service provider. That is the person who provides you with the Wi-Fi, and that person sends in a request to a thing called DNS, which is known as domain name server. And you can assume that the domain name server to be a contact book or a registry book, which has IP addresses of all the websites which are hosted. So this DNS server returns a response in terms of the IP address of a particular website you want, and then that internet service provider sends your browser the IP address, and then your browser pings in the sense it just sends a request to the Google servers, like whatever the server is. So server, like the definition of server is a normal computer where all the files exist, the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if all the files exist in your laptop and you are hosting the site, then your laptop becomes the server. So basically these servers in return response, like they return the response in terms of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let me just show you all how it works. So now I'm writing google.com. So it redirects me to google.com. But let's try with this method, like assuming that we have the IP address and then we ping it. So guys, the method to find an IP address of a website is to open your CMD. So if you all could just open it side by side. So I have my command prompt here. And the syntax for it is to write ping hyphen a and the domain name. So here ping hyphen a and google.com. So as you all can see that we've got the IP address out here. So let me just copy it. So if I paste this IP address here and then I press enter, so as you all can see that we've been redirected to the Google site as well. Either we wrote the domain or the IP address. It both redirects us to the Google website. So that means that we've been doing it properly. Like we could definitely skip a step here. But the thing is, people don't use this because of like this is Google, so it's huge. So one person has multiple websites hosted on a single server. So since Google is like such a big company, it has a separate server for each of its website. That's why we can ping the server and get the IP address to enter the website. So this was just for normal knowledge purposes. You could try it with some of any random websites you want. You could just ping the website to get the IP address, and you could just write it like fill it in your search bar. So you could just check if it's redirecting you there or not. So now let's just get into the components of web dev. Basically, what exactly the web dev consists of, what a website consists of. So I have a normal, like y'all must have been familiar with the Tequila website. So I just have it for the demo part where I will show you all that what kind of components have been used here. So first, our first component is front end. So front end basically consists of the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript part. It consists of the part which you can visually see, what the user sees in the end. So here, as you all can see that these animations out here, these colors belong to the front end component here out all of this. So this comprises of your front end part. Then comes the back end part. So back end part, like there are many different backend frameworks, and it helps you to give like you could give brain to your website, or you can add functionality using your backend. So there are various types of backends, like depending upon the language. Like if you are well versed with Python, then you could get into the Flask framework or the Django framework. If you are well versed with C Sharp, then you could get into the ASPX.NET framework. If you are well versed with JavaScript, then you could get into the MERN stack, which is also Node.js. So there are different languages of different frameworks. So it's up to you all, because each and every framework supports HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, definitely. So here the backend part comes to me here when I have this form out here. Whenever I fill this form, so the computer or the HTML part doesn't know what to do with the data we got, basically. So it just goes to the backend, and the whatever code or logic you apply gets implemented in the backend framework. Now the third part. So the third part consists of the database management. So what exactly is database? So for example, if I fill this form out here, and I'll need to know, right, where the form, the data, what the user has entered. So this thing is stored somewhere safe, like a database. So in that database, we have to design databases, like a database with fields like name, mobile number, email ID, message, etc., so that it stores all the databases. And it also we can like play around with the data, like we could use that data. So for that we need database management. So some popular database frameworks are Postgres, MySQL, and Microsoft SQL Server. So that ends the database management part, and now comes the deployment part. So like guys, we all must have worked using HTML like in some point in our life, like maybe school or maybe somewhere. So like whenever we write the HTML code, it stays in our laptop only. It doesn't get published on the internet. So for that we use deployment, because we definitely want to showcase our work and upload it on the internet. So there are different types of deployment services like GitHub Pages, Netlify, and AWS, that is Amazon Web Services. The list goes on. Like there are multiple, like IIS Windows Service, etc. So here we find the deployment part. So here, as you all can see, I have added an extension. So it just shows me that on what server it has been hosted and where the server is located. Like that much information is given. So this part shows the deployment part, where you get a URL proper and the person, anyone on the internet could access your site. So guys, for introduction to web development session, we are only going to focus on front end development. So what exactly are we going to learn in front end development? Let's see. So the first thing we will learn is HTML5. The second thing we will learn is CSS. And the third thing we'll learn is JavaScript. No, sorry, for this session, we have only HTML and CSS, but it consists of JavaScript, like the front end stack, the basic front end stack. We won't be focusing on JavaScript because it's a whole different language, programming language. So we will just focus on HTML, CSS, and the CSS framework, that is Bootstrap. So guys, this is a simple anatomy which we can compare with the human body, the website and the human body. So HTML in our website basically provides a structure to the website, like the skeleton provides a structure to our body. In a similar manner, the HTML provides a structure to the website. Then there is CSS. So CSS is mainly linked to improve the look and the appearance of the website. We could add tons and tons of colors, animations, whatever we want to. And and it is compared to the human wearing clothes, because we like dress up and stuff to look better. And the third thing is JS. So if we want to add any functionality to our website or anything which is not static, then we use JS, that is JavaScript, which acts as a nervous system or the brain of the body. So this was a direct comparison we made. So before learning before learning about what exactly is HTML, CSS, let's just have a demo kind of a thing where we tweak around with HTML and CSS without actually having the knowledge. So guys, I would like you all to just open up the inspect element part of your browser. If y'all open it, just one of y'all, like y'all cannot unmute, so just send it in the chat that y'all have opened up the inspect element part. Okay, nice. So now, if you like, y'all must have seen this sign here. So just click on that and select any random part, like for example, this section here. So once you select that section, you could go down here in element.style and you could just type a random letter. So I'll just type B. So as you all can see that we've got a huge list of CSS properties here. Like we don't know anything about it now, but see, it's a huge list. So let me just select a random thing, that is background color. So if I mess around with the background color here, as you all can see that it's actually being reflected on my browser here. So if I choose blue, then as you all can see that the color blue is actually, okay. Varsha, where do you want me to repeat it from? How to open elements. Okay. So you could just right click first. And after right clicking, you could click on inspect. You followed through till this much, how to open the inspect element. Okay, so now like you will get a select an element icon here. You just have to click that and select any random element you want. Like I've just chosen this because it's at the top. You can choose any element you want. And then after selecting that, you could go here to element.style and you could just type in any random things, like any random alphabet, and you can see that there are tons and tons of CSS properties available. So if I add border, so as you can see that we have also got border as the thing, like it's not being applied here because the CSS is forbidden here because we already added a background color. But there are tons and tons of CSS properties here we could tweak around with. Then if we could, like if you all want to know what exactly JavaScript will do, like, so JavaScript basically interacts with your browser. It has no compiler, like it's a programming language, but it has no compiler. It directly interacts with your browser. So if you want to see for an example, I'll just write down a syntax here and see, I'll show you all that how the JavaScript directly interacts with the browser. So as you all can see that I wrote this script alert with whatever context I wanted and I ended it with a semicolon. So it directly shows me a pop-up in the browser that www.google.com says, hi, I am Avisha. So it directly interacts with your browser. So that completes the CSS part and the JS part. So now I'll show you all what exactly the HTML part we can tweak around with in using inspect element. So I'll just click on this Google search and I'll just increase this 1 second. Okay, it's an input tag. We cannot edit that, but we have this span tag here, which we could edit using inspect element. So if I write any random stuff, as you all can see that it gets reflected here instead of what exactly there was before. We get to write whatever we want here. So this is how, like, without actually learning what exactly is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you could just tweak around with any of your website. Like if I go here, I can edit stuff, though it will not be implemented on the actual website, but it will be reflected on your local computer. So this is how we can tweak around with inspect elements on any given website. So anyone has any questions here? Till now, everyone's following what's going on. Okay. Okay, so guys, now let's begin with actually what is HTML and CSS. So basically, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and this language is used to provide structure to the web page, and we also can add content inside the website using HTML. So let me just show you a difference between what exactly is if we add HTML and if we don't. So I'll just show it to you all here. So if I just remove all this here and I just write, this is my website here. This is normal plain text. It just has the extension .html. So guys, if you all have installed Visual Studio Code, I would recommend you all to install the following extensions. So one is Live Server and one is Beautify. So if you all want me to wait for a few minutes just so you could install it, so let me know in the chat. So I should wait. The name of the extension is Live Server. I'll just write it down here and Beautify. So these are the names of the extension you have to install. If you all are using Sublime Text, then I don't think so. You all have the options to install these extensions. But if you all have Visual Studio Code, then you can definitely install these. Okay, so once you all have entered these, so let me just run this. I'll just go live. And as you all can see that this looks like a pretty plain text here, like normal, the one we write in Notepad. So now if we add HTML to it, like here, I'll just add it here. So if I have my server on, so as you all can see that this looks pretty better than the other one we wrote. So this is the difference we try to create using HTML and the normal text. You can definitely make a website using normal text, but it won't be good looking. So this is where HTML comes into picture. So guys, this is just the demo which I showed you all right now, that what exactly is HTML, difference between a website with HTML and without HTML. So now I've written this huge pile of code here. So let me just explain it to you all what exactly these tags are. So these tags basically are in a hierarchical form that you cannot mess around with the hierarchy. Like if there is this HTML tag, then you need to make sure that all the other children elements are inside the HTML tag only. It's not like you can have HTML tag here and outside that HTML tag, you have your head tag and all that. So you need to follow that hierarchy. let us just go through all the definitions of the tags here. So see guys, this is the basic structure which I showed you all. And now first, like see, this is not a tag exactly, the doc type here. It's not a tag, but it's just a function that tells your browser, if it's Chrome or Firefox, whatever, that the type, the file is HTML. It just notifies the browser that the doc file is HTML type. So the second tag out here we have is the HTML tag, the HTML closing tag, and the closing tag and the starting tag. So guys, before just the thing I need to add is that there are two kinds of tags in HTML. One tag is a self-closing tag that you have to close the tag compulsorily, and the other type of tag is an open-ended tag where you don't have to close. Like you can see this meta tag here. You don't actually have to close the tag by /meta. It closes itself. So now moving on to the HTML tag. So basically this HTML tag defines the whole element in the HTML document. Like it tells the browser that from this part, the things between the HTML tags is the actual HTML content here. Now the next tag here is the head tag. So head tag basically contains all the special elements, like whoever's done web dev or has basic knowledge will know that we have to attach CSS or JavaScript code, whatever we write. Like for example, if I have this CSS code with me, so if I want to attach it with my HTML code, then I need to link my sheet inside the head tag. So the main usage of this head tag is basically to link all the CSS and the JavaScript sheets and to provide meta info. Meta info comes into picture when we get into the SEO and SEM part of the web browser. It's a whole different topic. But SEO stands for search engine optimization. So if you want to optimize your search engine, then you could definitely get into a good knowledge of meta tags. Sorry, I have a sore throat here. Let me just have water. So next comes the body tag. So basically body tag contains the document content, like whatever the things which are visible on the browser are inside the body tag. So like whatever all this is, like whatever we are seeing here is all inside the body tag. So I'll just show it to you all what exactly the structure is. So guys, as you all can see, if I minimize my body tag, almost the whole code disappears here. So everything is inside the body tag here. So it needs to be inside the body tag. And as you all can see that we have mentioned here what the type of file here is. It is an HTML file. We've also added like this lang means language. So your browser knows that the site is English, like it is written in English. That's why we've written EN. So all this stuff is out here. So this was the body tag for you all. So we were talking about hierarchy. Like I told you all, if you add the head tag outside the HTML tag, then it won't function properly. And the one more tag which we forgot to talk about was the title tag. So basically, what title tag does is that whatever you see out here, the favicon, the text written next to the favicon, it adds that. So if I change this document to first website, then it changes the title to first website. So that is what is favicon. So if you all can see here, the Google symbol here, the logo here, Google. So that miniature version of the logo is known as favicon. So the text written next to the favicon is the title. So understood? Okay, cool. So this is the title tag for all. So hierarchy was explained here, and also this was explained. Okay. So now these are the tags here. We are done with HTML tag. We are also done with the head tag, the title tag, the body tag. Now let's move on to the HN tag. So like it's not HN exactly, but N stands for any numeric integer. So let me just show you all what exactly is the end tag, HN. So here, guys, we've written H1, right? So now we can add, like we can go on adding numbers. So I'll just do a few H tags here. 1 second. Is if we go to our site, as you all can see that we have these in a deteriorating font size. So this is the HN tag for you all. That H stands, like H tag is basically to provide, like in general terms, it is used to provide titles to different sections here. So as you increase the value of N, like so the font size decreases. So this is H1, this is H2. As you all can see that this font size is way bigger than this one, and it keeps on deteriorating. So H tag is not frequently used, like in paragraphs or something. There are different tags for it, but we do use the H tag. So that's HN tag for you all. Now the second tag is the bold tag, like B tag, which is also used to make the text bold. So I'll just write something random here, and I'll just write it between the bold tag, that is the B tag. So 1 second, yeah. So as you all can, like I'll just write it somewhere else. This is very short here. 1 second. Let me just comment it out. Yeah, so guys, as you all can see that I've written test 1, 2, 3 side by side. This is without using the bold tag, that is the B tag, and this is with using the B tag. So whatever text you write between these tags automatically gets turned on into a bold character. So like if I have a huge line, like a paragraph, something of that sort, minimize it. So as you all can see that we've got this whole paragraph in the bold part. So this B tag here actually helps you to bold it. Similarly, italics, the I tag, does the same. Instead of this converting it into the bold, it converts it into italics. So let me just give a demo for that also. Guys, this Visual Studio Code has a lorem ipsum extension also, in which if you just type lorem, it fills in another, like a random words to just fill up your paragraph. So this is the italics part here. Like let me just add a line. 1 second. Yeah, so as you all can see that we have a whole paragraph sort of something in italics here. So the I tag is also done. And now let's move on to another tag, like one important tag is there, that is the P tag. It is one of the most frequently used tags here because P tag defines a paragraph, and generally a website, whichever website it is, maybe it is a e-commerce platform or whatever, the P, like there is always a paragraph describing what exactly the site does. So in that we definitely use the P tag because it automatically leaves the line above and below. Like as you all can see that we had to leave lines here. What is the difference between 1 second? What was the question? What is the difference between I tag and EM tag? Okay, I and EM. Okay. So like basically the difference between the EM tag and the I tag is that the EM tag semantically emphasize on the important word, whereas anything between the I tag, like if we want to just make sure that the whole paragraph is converted into italics, so we use I tag. Whereas if we want that some special word or some specific word we need to convert it into italics, then we use the em tag. Yeah, Varid, you got it? Okay. So we use the difference between the em and I there. So here, as you all can see that I've been adding this BR tag to create a new line. But if we use paragraph tags, I'll just show it to you all. As you all can see that this is line 1. We've written this between the paragraph tag, and as you all can see that it's left a line without us writing the BR tag or whatever. And in this case also, in line 2 also, that it's automatically left a line above and below, so that you don't get clustered and you don't every time have to type the BR tag. So that was the P tag for you all. Now getting onto the BR tag. So BR tag basically is like /n, like you all must have done C, C++ or Python. So it is exactly similar to /n. It just takes the thing to the next line. So like if we have a poem here inside the P tag, I'll just type it here. Like I have multiple lines, like this is line 1, line 2, line 3. So if I run this code, then it will be in a straight line, like it won't be in gaps or something, like it won't be like this won't be down. So if I add break tag after every comma or punctuation whenever the line is required, then it will now be one below the other, and that's the main usage of a BR tag. Like generally people use BR to provide some extra space, like if we want the user, like in the sense if we want a 2 space line, like a 2 line space here, so we just add the BR tag twice and this will be pushed down by 2 lines. So that's what we use the BR tag for, and this is just a code snippet. And guys, before going ahead, I just want to tell you all one thing, that these are not the only tags which we are going to learn in HTML. Like I cannot cover all the tags. So this is a website called W3 Schools, and it has amazing tutorials here, like the HTML tutorial. So it has many number of tags here. I'll just show you all the exact link where all the tags are defined. One second. Yeah. So guys, as you all can see that there are many HTML tags there. Like we won't be able to cover all the tags. We will definitely cover the important ones. But if you all are actually interested in learning HTML in depth, then you could just go to this site and you could randomly select any tag here, for example, block code. And as you all can see that they've given a sample code here, and they've given the definition and the usage. Key how we can use this tag and which browsers support it. There are many browsers which don't support many URLs, like this acronym tag or this ABBA tag. It's out of circulation now. Like there are many tags like these which are not supported by many browsers. So see, like there are versions given here, like where exactly these tags can be used. So this is a very good resource here, W3 Schools. So if you all have any doubts or you all want some more help, then you all could definitely go to W3 Schools or even ping me on Discord. I'll definitely help you all out regarding the other tags which are there. See, there are many tags here. So this was, sorry for the interruption, the flow. And now we have the anchor tag. This is one of the most important tags here. Like what basically the anchor tag does is that if you, is HTML very easy that we should skip it, or is it important? So Manan, like whatever layout you see here on a website, it's all HTML based only. Like you cannot build a front end. Like even if you feel you could, you know CSS or Bootstrap really well, you need to know HTML so that you get to know what exactly the structure is. Like I'll show you all an image here. So this is the structure which HTML5 creates. So if you don't have the knowledge about it, then I don't think so you could go, like, you could be able to create big sites, like sites with multiple different pages with multiple different sections. I know, like, it sounds boring, to be honest, like in school and stuff, wherever we learn, like outside proper web dev, like, so it's not that good. The HTML part, the teaching is not that good. So you need to learn HTML, that's for sure. You could finish it off fast, but I would recommend that you should definitely do HTML. So guys, sorry, I was on the anchor tag. So anchor tag basically helps you to link any URL or any PDF or document to the given element. So like if I have a p tag here, for example, one second, p tag here, I'll just add the p tag and I'll just write Avisha LinkedIn. So guys, if I want someone, that whoever is on the website, to someone, if someone clicks here on Avisha LinkedIn, he should be redirected to my LinkedIn account. So for that, anchor tags comes into picture, where it takes attributes as href, and href will redirect you to the URL you want to go to. So if I have this URL with me, tequila.co.in, so I'll just add the URL here between the anchor tags. Let me just add the anchor tag. Yeah. So guys, as you all can see that this has been a little bit of bluish color here, which shows that this is a link, hyperlink. So if I click on it, it will redirect me to the website of which I entered the URL. As you all can see that, see, it's opened up the tequila site. So if I go back, it will take me here. So guys, one of the main things which people miss out is that you need to keep the whole element in between the anchor tag. See, if I remove this anchor tag from here and I keep it outside the element, then the anchor, this thing won't work. Like Avisha LinkedIn will not redirect you anywhere. See, it disappeared. I'm trying to click on it, it's not be. But if I keep it inside the anchor tag, it will be active again. What if we keep p tag outside the anchor tag? Yeah, you could try that also. But if the, like, if there are some rules you need to follow. So one of the rules is that you always have to keep the anchor tag outside the element, because you have to apply the CSS also inside the element. So for that purposes, we try to keep the anchor tag outside, because then the CSS or the ID class of the element will mess around with the anchor tag. That's why. Yeah, so this is working. Yeah, so that was anchor tag for you all. So you all could just tweak around, and like guys, not only paragraph, you could also link images. So like, let me just first go on with the image tag, then I'll show you all. So guys, this is the image tag here. So basically guys, people have a conception that we add images to the website, but that's not the thing. We cannot manually insert images inside a website. We can just link it, the image we want to. The path is not specified, like you can add it via your local PC, or you can also add a URL from Google. It's up to you, but you have to use an image tag. So I'll just show you all and demo how the image tag works. So guys, as you all can see that image tag is also a self-ending, like self-closing tag. So we don't need to end the image tag here. So here is the SRC. SRC is the part where we add the image here, the path. So since I don't have any images in my current directory, I'll just take a random image from the net and I'll just show you all how we add it. So this is just a dummy image here. I've copy pasted the URL and I'll just paste it in my source here. Yeah, so I've posted this here, the URL. And as you all can see that we've got this image here in our website. So this is the image tag. You can also add attributes to the image tag, that is the width and the height. So if I want the width to be 200 pixels, then the image will be of 200 pixels. As you all can see that it has shrinked. So we can add attributes to the image, so image tag also. Let me just undo it. So here we can also add the anchor tag here also. Like if I keep this image between anchor tag, let me just, so I've added the image tag in between the anchor tag, and now let me just refresh. Yeah, and if now see, as you all can see my cursor, it is showing like at the left bottom, you all can see that which website it is going to redirect me. So if I click on the image, it redirects me to the hyperlink which I integrated. So this is how the anchor tag works, and it is 99% of the times it is used to redirect people from one page to the other. Like for example, I'll show you all the usage here. So if I click on this pre-tequila events, so it will redirect me to the page there. Like the page doesn't exist, but as you all can see that in the bottom left, it is showing me the URL where it will redirect me. And my cursor is also the hyperlink one, the shape of the cursor. So that is how the anchor tag and the image tag work. This is just the code snippet here of what we've typed here, all the tags here. One second. Yeah. So guys, we've added these tags here, the HN tag, the bold tag, the BR tag, all these. Can you repeat the resize part? Okay. Image resize. Okay. So like not the image resize part, but you could add attributes to the image. Like for example, if you want the width to be fixed, like you want it to be 300 pixels, so you just add width which is equal to this, like whatever the width you want inside the double quotes, and if you save and you refresh, the width will be changed here. Similarly with the height. So this attributes, yeah, definitely these come into CSS also. It is just if someone wants to fix the image size, like there are different ways of messing around with the size of the image. Like you could do it percentage wise also. Like if I add here 25%, then it will only, the width will be only 25% of the original width. As you all can see, this is the 25% of the original width here. So image resize part, okay. So is the image resize part clear? Like what exactly we can add? We could add height also, but you could just try it yourself. Okay. Yeah. So the image part is done, and this is just the code snippet where we added all this. So now moving on to the division part. So what exactly is a section and a division? If you all open any random site, like as you all can see that it's filled with the div tag, 1, 2, 3, like it's filled with div tags. Like out here also, if you see, it has section tag, it has div tags. Basically a site comprises of these tags only, section and the div tag. So basically the section element represents a generic section, like a normal part. So like if this is the contact, like let me just take it to the right side. Yeah. One second. Yeah. So if I take you all to the contact as section, like I call it section. So we have a separate section here, as you all can see. Let me just zoom it out. Yeah. So here, see, it's a section class contact. So any website you choose is always going to be made up of sections and divisions. So section tag here provides you with a section, and the div tag comprises of the minor divisions inside the section, which creates the whole section. So you all can just say that the div tag is basically the child of the section tag, the hierarchy in hierarchy terms. So that's that. So let us just add the few tags and see what happens. Like guys, without the CSS, basically we cannot mess around with the div tag, but I'll just show you all how the syntax works. So guys, as you all can see that we've added it successfully. Like we cannot tweak around with it for the timing because we will need a good knowledge of CSS here to uh, to align it to the center or to have a flex direction here. So all that is not possible right now because of the lack of knowledge. But this was the div tag and the section tag. It is used majorly. Like you see any website out there, it will have divisions, and that's the way of coding. Like that's supposed to be a proper method of coding where you divide your whole website into different sections and different divisions inside the section. So now one of the crucial part comes here. Like if you open up any random, like let's go here only, like if we are using this as a reference. So as you all can see, we all know this is a form out here. It does not have a submit button because it has been disabled, but this is a form here. So we enter our name, a mobile number and whatever. So this is a form. So we will learn more about what exactly we have to do with HTML forms. So let me just open up a basic form here. One second. So this is a normal layout of the form where we have the form tag. So once the browser, when it starts reading your HTML code and it comes across the form tag, it definitely gets to know that this is a HTML form and the data needs to be processed somewhere. So I'll just show you all a demo. One second. So as you all can see that we have the form with three fields. We wrote name, mobile number, and email ID. So before getting into theory, let's just see what happens when we submit a form actually. So guys, as you all can see that I cannot enter any alphabets or special characters here because we've mentioned that the input field is a number. So it will not take any inputs other than the number. So I'll just add it here. So this now guys, when I click on submit, as you all, one second, what happened? Submit, okay, type, one second. Not input. Change it to input. This doesn't require anything. Okay. Yeah, so guys, as you all can see that the form has been submitted, but since we don't have a backend, it does not, perform actually anything. Like if we submit a form here, it will get us a confirmation message that your form has been submitted or whatsoever. But here, it just submits the form and it lets it go. Like the data is not stored anywhere because we've not added a database or we haven't added any queries where we could just add the data which is given here. So this was like the beginning of HTML forms. Like this is the form element. As you all can see that the form tag, when it begins, uh, the HTML knows that it is going to ask the user for input. So this is the input tag in which we take the input from the user. So here we are taking the input from the user here, whatever the user wants to enter. So all that is taken via the input tag, and input tag has many attributes, but the one which we will learn here is the type and the placeholder. So basically there are various types of input the user can enter. For example, this is the type text because we only want text here, right? Like people can enter numeric also. So text basically means alphanumeric things you can enter inside the input field. Whereas mobile number, we all know that mobile number can never contain any alphabets. So the HTML has a inbuilt validation given where if you type, like when you add the type number, it will not take any other input other than a number, not even special characters. So we've used it here. And then there is this third type. Like there are various types, but the third type which we are seeing here is email. So here in email, if you try to submit the form without adding at the rate, then it will throw you an error saying that the at the rate sign is missing. That's a very basic validation that is given by HTML. You have to learn JavaScript for client side validations where you scrutinize each and every character the person enters so that it keeps your site safe from JavaScript and SQL attacks. So that was the type. Now placeholder. From the name only, you all must have figured it out that it is the text here inside the field which we see. So that is if I change it to first name, so it will be reflected there also. Yeah. So as you all can see that it has been changed to first name. So that was placeholder for you all. So let's just see what other types of input elements are there. So how can we change the text on the submit button? Okay. So the text on the submit button, see, this is an input type here. So if I have the play, like generally people, whenever we attach backend, we have the button tag here. So in between the button tag, the attributes are type submit, and let me just add it to the double quotes. Yeah, and this we write whatever we want to. So we just say sign up. So button tag is a closing tag, like we need to close it manually. So if I come here, as you can see that the text inside the button has been changed. It's been changed to sign up. So this is the way we try to change the text. Like we can use button or input, it doesn't matter. It's just that we have to mention this type submit so that browser knows that whenever someone interacts with this element, like button is an element. So whenever someone tries to interact with the element, you just try to submit whatever input you have taken from the user. So that was, yeah, so sorry, let's get back to the types of elements. So we know text, we know button, we know submit. Now let's see what actually checkbox does. So let me just change the type to checkbox and see what happens. Why are we using input there instead of button? Where out here? Yeah, so we can do it in two ways. Like we could either have an input tag, like see, basically the type matters. Even in the, like I'll just undo it. One second. Yeah, so in this input tag also, if you have seen that we've given the type submit, so if this like input, if anyone interacts with the input tag or the button tag, whatever you want, the browser will know or the system will know that all this data needs to be submitted. That's why we are using the type matters and not what input tag or the button tag is. So that's the thing. Like you can use button also and you can use input. There's no difference. Like if you want to make a button which looks like an input tag, you could just add class here, or you could just add style here. So it actually looks like the button you've been using on your website. So let me get back to whatever we do. Yeah, the checkbox. Yeah. So let me just take a demo. Yeah. So if we check now, as you all can see that we've got a checkbox here. So this input type basically has checkbox into it. Like we can add whatever we want to, like just add it here. Yeah. So as you all can see that I've added a vShire and I've added a checkbox. So basically, guys, in front end, we don't actually get like we don't use checkbox because the thing is that inside this input tag, we also have a field called name and value, which is for backend purposes value. So if we enter the value here, Avisha, and if someone ticks on that checkbox, then the data which gets entered in the database will be Avisha. So this doesn't matter for you all for night right now if you all don't know what backend is exactly. So this is the checkbox for you all. I'll just remove all this. 1 second. Yeah. So that this is the checkbox thing. Now we have radio. Radio is similar to a checkbox. It is like selecting the single thing. Like see, there are different ways of taking input from a user in terms of the MCQ type. Like we have choices. So in a radio button, I'll just show you all what a radio button and what a checkbox looks like. So as you all can see that checkbox is like a single thing, like in the sense you cannot have multiple radio buttons chosen inside the MCQ tag, not MCQ tag basically, but inside a multiple choice query. But in the checkbox, you can have multiple queries selected. Like for example, you could just say that this is single choosing option and this is multiple correct options, sort of something of that sort. Like you all could just imagine it in that way. So whenever you have people choosing multiple stuffs, uh, you could have a checkbox as the option, and if you want to choose like is the person male or female, then we have radio boxes for gender and stuff. So this is where we use radio, and the rest we've done. So guys, this brings an end to the HTML part of today's session. So if y'all have any doubts or y'all want me to repeat something or explain better, y'all could just let me know in the chat. So it's clear till now? Okay, can you show your code once again? Sure. Which part you want me to zoom in? The form part only? Yash, any doubts you have or you want me to explain anything? My text getting deleted. I don't know what the error is. Meta part. Okay. So basically, what exactly a meta tag does is that it lets, like, in the sense, there are a term called SEO. Like, see, basically the main usage, the real life usage, is to know the browser. Like, let the browser know that if I add meta tag here and I add things like uh, web dev here, and like I have to add words to it, like to the meta tag. And once I add the words in the meta tag, so the browser knows that the website inside it, like, it won't go through the whole website, but just by reading the meta tag, it will get to know that this website consists of all these elements here. So this is basically used to specify what kind of content will be provided inside. So guys, like, as you all can see here, that here this basically means that this website is going to be in the scale of 1:1, where the device width and the content width will be of the same size, like the same proportion. So that's how we use the meta tag. Like, we just add a few keywords, or we could add a line or something which increases the rank. Like, if I type anything here, so like any random stuff. So let me just type life insurance. Yeah. So whoever has the best, like, see, apart from the ad stuff, whoever has the best SEO optimization will be showed up here, and that SEO optimization depends upon meta tag here. So if the person adds proper meta tags and proper words, then the person can definitely make sure that his sites rank up every time someone searches it. Hello, Yash. Was it clear? Got it. Okay. Yeah. So, guys, anyone else has any doubts before moving ahead or ending the HTML part? Okay, so I'll, okay, what is BR tag? Okay, so BR tag is a break line tag. It is similar to the slash n, whatever, like slash n tag, which you use in your C or Python programs. It leaves a line from the point where you add the tag. So that's BR tag for you. It just leaves a line. It leaves a space here, so it looks better. Yeah. So guys, before starting, I would like to just give you all an incentive or something, like you could call that. So I'll just, let me open the site here. One second. Yeah, so guys, is my screen visible? Yeah. So as you all can see that we have this portfolio website for y'all. Like, this source code will be given to each of y'all who's attending it. So y'all could just replace these logos with your own name logos, like whatever logos you want. And you could write down about stuff and the skills you have. Like, this is basically a portfolio website where you could display whatever experience, whatever projects you've used, or whatever projects you worked on, your achievements, and the contact form. Since there is no backend provided, I cannot promise or something, but I will try to provide you all with a normal code in which you all could just make sure this form works fine for anyone who submits the form. And you could just replace the logo here also. Like, I'll give you all this website in a form of a template here, so y'all could use this site as your own site. Like, I'll open source it on GitHub. It's there. I just need to complete the documentation thoda. And once that's open source, y'all could just clone this and just add stuff whatever you want to. You all could even tweak the website by changing colors, or you could just add more CSS. So that's one thing for y'all. So You all could definitely use it. So yes. Okay. So this was that. So, and it's mobile response. So I forgot to show it to you all. I'll just show it to you all. One second. Yeah. So as you all can see that it is completely mobile responsive. Anyone on a mobile phone can easily view it. So that's there. And I will also, like, in the end of tomorrow's session, I'll teach you all how to host your website for free. Like, I'll just send you all the URL on the WhatsApp group that we have for the web dev. So you all just clone it and keep it ready, and change all the data you want, like about me. This is just lorem ipsum shit. So you just change whatever data you want to add, and then tomorrow while ending the session, I will teach you all how to host your website for free. Like, it will be this dummy URL, so you could host it there for free. So if you want to add it to your LinkedIn or your resume about your portfolio website, then that's a good thing. I'll teach you all tomorrow that part. So now moving on to the, I'm not there on the dev WhatsApp group. So guys, if anyone from your batch, like the 2020 batch, knows Varsha, so and is on the group, so could you all just send her the link if possible? Or wait, I'll just send the link here. I'll try to send the link here. One second. Yeah. So I've just added the link here. I'll just pin it if I can. Yeah, I've pinned it. So if anyone wants to join the web dev group, so people can join. Thank you, Manan. Thank you. So, okay. Thanks a lot, Manan. So let's just move ahead now. So yeah, definitely, Varid, you can join the group even if you're from the other college. You just can't be a part of the core member, but you can definitely be a member if you're from other college. And you could ask your friends who are interested in web dev to join also. That's not an issue. So guys, any more questions? Let's start with CSS now. So we've had a brief introduction that what exactly is CSS. Like, we tweaked around here, as you all can see, we've added the color blue and we've added all this stuff. So now CSS stands for cascading style sheets, and it describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen. Like, now if we, like, if you see all this, it looks very shabby, like it does not look good. So if we add CSS to all this, then it definitely looks better. So here it enhances the way your website looks. CSS, nothing else. Something sort of a makeup, for your website. So there are different ways we can attach the CSS files to the HTML file. So one of the methods is browser style sheet. Like, browser style sheet is the main sheet you create, like the main CSS files altogether, which the browser tries to search. So here the browser first tries to search the external style sheet. So let me just show you all what an external style sheet looks like. One second. Let me just get in Bootstrap here. Guys, I forgot to speak about the link tag. So link tag is a simple tag in which we use it to link the CSS or the JavaScript files, whatever we want, and we just give it the location of the CSS file. So as you all can see that I have the style.css file here, one folder above. So here I've added the style.css. And where is the Bootstrap CSS? Like, this people don't know what exactly Bootstrap is, but I'll just open it for you all. Like, what exactly is this URL in the browser? So guys, as you all can see that this weird looking syntax is being shown here, but if we try to 1 second, let me just. Yeah. So if we just beautify it using the extension we added, so it will look something like this, the syntax. And as you all can see that it is approximately 9,000 lines. And I'm sure that we cannot write so much CSS. So someone has already done the work for us. So there are many CSS files like these. Like this is just the Bootstrap CSS. There are many other files like these. So these are the external sheets, like the one which we import from URL. Like if you all can see here that my link tag is getting the CSS file from your this URL, and whereas the other part where it is internally linked. So your internally means that I have the CSS file with me, like I've created the CSS file and I'm adding my own CSS here. So that is called as internal linking, where we create a file and we directly give the path. And the fourth way is to not add any CSS, like not add any files like .css. We directly start writing the CSS inside the HTML itself. Like let me show you an example here. Web dev session, no. Portfolio, no. Yes. So as you all can see that we have linked the Bootstrap file here and we've added the style.css, but there are a few elements inside our this code that we are not using any CSS to it directly, like using CSS files, but we are adding the style on our own. Let's 1 second, button. Yeah. So guys, as you all can see that we are adding the CSS inside the tag itself. Like this is the div tag, and we are adding the CSS inside the tag itself. Like whatever color inside this tag will be black that way. We are not adding any CSS here, then going here in our style.cs and then adding that color is equal to black, something of that sort. We are not doing something of that sort. So this is the most least preferred way, because the thing is that you whenever you start working as a front end developer, you work with many people, like different sections are assigned to different people. So if you start using inline CSS, then the code readability becomes very difficult, so many people cannot collaborate. So that's why we try to avoid inline CSS. But if it's like for a single thing, or if you're working alone, like you're applying it on a single element, then it's fine. Like you don't need to create a file and then go inside and define a class and you do all that. But if you're working in a project, like a proper project, then you should avoid using inline CSS. 1 second. So this is the inheritance part. Like it is very simple if I explain it to you all verbally. So let me just explain it to you all verbally. So see guys, we've added a class here, for example, class card image top, for example. Or let's just ignore this and let's get into this part where we have added the class card body. So basically this card body is a class which exists in this CSS file, and it has some properties which are assigned to the whole elements inside it. So guys, hierarchy means that if I apply CSS on this division, like if you all can see, I've highlighted the start and the end of the division. So the hierarchy states that whatever elements are inside this div tag will automatically inherit the CSS properties of the parent tag. Like these are the children tags. So the children tags will automatically inherit the parent tag properties. So if I add that color is equal to black, so all these properties or the like all these elements will inherit it automatically. So if I show you all this site, so this is the portfolio website. So as you all can see that the P tag and the H4 tag, they all have inherited the property that is the black color. So they've automatically inherited it. So if we have a huge section out here and we don't want to keep on adding CSS class to each and every element, so we just add the CSS to the parent. So if I want all the images should be of equal width. So I just add a CSS class here inside my this main division, and I just add that image width to be this. So all the images inside this div tag will inherit the CSS property, even if they are not mentioned with the same class. So is it clear till now? We are like y'all understood that we can what exactly is inheritance here? Okay. So now I'll just go on the PPT. Yeah. So okay, a little demo would be better. Acha, okay, I'll just show it to you. So I'll just add two divs here. Let me just copy paste the above div. Okay, so let me just convert this into text. I did it with the style.css. Can you please paste the new lines here? Okay, sure. I've not added any new lines, but I'll just copy paste the whole code here. Like just copy paste. Okay, okay. Yeah, man, I'll just paste it, but once, yes. What if we add class to the holder? Yeah, so guys, CSS means cascading style sheets. So it follows the hierarchy where the if your div, like if there are divs inside the div, like for example, if you could see here that the form tag has multiple divs. So if the div has a specific class, then it will overrule the CSS getting from the parent. Like it will ignore the. Well, what if we add a class? Yeah. So that's it. Like it ignores the hierarchy. Then, if you have your own class, and I'll just copy paste the lines here. 1 second. The lines you added in the header. Acha, okay, header. Okay, okay. Here. So okay, yeah. So I've created two different divisions here, and I'll just add CSS to one division. Like ignore the syntax for now. I'll just add the class here. What was here? And now if we go to our website, yeah. So guys, as you all can see that we had two divisions, but we only added a class to the one division and we haven't added the class to another division. So the CSS will only be applied to the division on which we've added and the elements inside it. So elements also have the background color as blue. So this was this. Now let me show a hierarchy of a different type. Like if I add to the section, then all the containers will be blue, like instead of the two divs. Yeah. So guys, as you all can see that both of these divisions have now background color blue. So as you all can see that section was the parent here and division were the children here, like the two divs here. So if we and in the other case, when we had a division as the parent, so when we had division as the parent, we had other as the children, and they all inherited the CSS. Like since we are not having any CSS here, so they inherited the CSS given from the parent. So that how the hierarchy in the CSS part works. Like you could just figure out it in a optimized manner. Like when you start building your front end, you could just start optimizing your CSS code by just defining that what sections require what kind of CSS, and what kind of children need to inherit it. So that if you have a common CSS for all of them, you just need to add the CSS to the parent element only and not the children element, which saves up a lot of time. So this explains the inheritance part. And this is just a code snippet here, which I showed you all, that we add the class. Like you all don't know, like the class and the ID is supposed to be taught in the tomorrow's session. So I'll just reserve it for tomorrow. But just have an idea that we can add CSS using class. Like we define it here and we just add it here that way. In detail, we'll do it tomorrow. So now there are different rules to add your CSS. Like in the sense, here the first thing is we need to choose a selector. Like there are various types of selector. Like I'll just show it to you all. Like see, this is a class selector, like class based selector. This is a element based selector. Like you all know tags by now, right? So let me just edit my code. I'll just give you all a live demo here. Yes, the recording will be available. It will be uploaded on the YouTube lecture, the YouTube channel of DSCSIT. You all could subscribe there for updates. So I'll just write Laura Gibson. Yeah. So guys, let's just see first what we've done here. So let's close all this. Yeah. So as you all can see that we've added these lines here. Let me just uncomment, like comment CSS here class. And if below it also. Yeah. So guys, as you all can see that we have a paragraph tag and an H1 tag. So if we want to apply CSS to it directly to an element, we refer to this as an element. So what we do is we get in the style.css, our CSS file, and we simply write the name of the tag, and we enter the bracket, like open up the brackets and enter the property we want. So for example, we want that the color of all the p tag elements, like whatever the number of p tags are there inside the code, HTML code, we need to change the way all the p tag looks. So I'll just change the color to brown, and I'll just write it important. So if we refresh, so as you all can see that these two elements were written in p tag and the color changed. Like, is the color visible, guys? The color change. Yeah. So the color change is visible. So that's one way in which we can add CSS directly without actually making a class and adding it to the part. And like, let's do it for H1 also, so that you all get a broad idea that what exactly is using, like we do it using element. Here we could just increase the font size also, or the font weight. So let's just increase the font or decrease the font, whatever. So as you all can see that H1 tag, we've added CSS that all the H1 tags will have a small font size. So as you all can see that it has been decreased by a great margin here. So if we change back, like if we delete this or comment it out, then it will go back to being normal, the font size it was, as you all can see. So this is the way we directly interact with the elements and using CSS. So guys, here as we saw that there are, like for every alphabet there are numerous CSS elements here. Like as you all can see, it's a huge list. It has a scroll bar, to be honest, just for the alphabet A. Like see, there are different CSS properties here. So I will be covering a few properties, but it's not possible for me to cover all the CSS properties. And to be honest, CSS is a very interesting topic, to be honest. You get to mess around with anything. Like you can add animations, you can add anything you want using CSS. So I have a CSS cheat sheet for you all. So I'll just give you all the URL. it has all the types of CSS. One second. Was important, as in the CSS properties you're talking about, or which? Okay, what are color codes? So basically, if we want to add any color here, so here we are adding brown, right? So if I copy this and I just go to Chrome and I just start writing brown hex code, so it will give me a hex code in terms of hashtag, like the hashtag and alphanumeric characters. So if I copy paste this thing and I add it here inside my color instead of brown, one second. Yeah. So if I go and refresh, the color will not change because it's the same. It's just the color code out here is mentioned. Like, see, there are primary colors and then there are secondary colors. So if we mix those colors to get a color palette, important overrides other styling rules. Command. Okay, what's important? Okay, yeah. So like important, like see, this H1 tag has inbuilt properties. So these inbuilt properties sometimes cannot let you add your CSS. So we write important as a backup plan if we are using inbuilt functions of HTML and CSS, so that we don't get thrown out, or like the request is not denied in terms of applying the CSS. That's why. So what I was saying, yeah, hex code. So whenever we like mix different colors, everyone has a specific hex code. So if you want to add any random color using hex code, we can definitely do that using our color tag. So yeah, so moving on here, yeah. So here we've seen what exactly a selector is, and we got to know that what syntax can we add. So guys, don't worry, we are going to learn a few CSS properties regarding text and all. Like, see, these are these are reserved for tomorrow's session. We will only do CSS queries and then work on the bootstrap introduction. So now we'll just do the CSS declaration of elements only. We will not get into ID or class. So here the property value, like we've seen this, like we did it here in the part where we change the color of the p tag. You can also do it for various other, like you could do it for HTML tag also. Like if you want to have a background color throughout the HTML file to be pink or something like aqua. So if I now refresh my screen here, see, you can see that the whole HTML part is being this thing, aqua in color. So this is the way we can add a background color to the entire website together using different tags. Whatever tags you see, you could add CSS to it using the style.css file. So this was the end of the first CSS part here. We will, like, there's a lot more to cover, but I don't think so people will now be able to absorb the thing which I try to provide. So I feel that we should just end it here. Like, if anyone has any doubts or want me to give you all some demo regarding a topic you all didn't understand, I could go for that. I could also go for Q&A if you want, like if anyone has any doubts. So this was till the CSS declaration. If anyone has any doubts regarding, or if anyone is facing any errors, could you share the CSS cheat sheet? Yeah, I will share that along with the GitHub URL on the group. Where can we follow the PPT? Okay, I'll upload it on the group. Like, I'll just make a list to things I could upload on the group, and I'll just send it there. So if, like, I'll upload it on Discord also. So if you're there on either of the two platforms, so then you can definitely get all the resources. So you could, where can we follow? Okay. So any other questions? Anyone, like, is anyone facing any problem in their laptop regarding connecting the CSS sheet or something? And I'm also open to suggestions. if I could improve the way I'm teaching or something. Like if you all have any suggestions I could add, please let me know. All clear. Okay. So you all could just practice whatever is taught here. Like practice in the sense you all could just randomly go up to W3 schools and just revise all the tags we did, because the portfolio website which I'm going to provide you all has usage of all those tags. Like not all, but whatever tags we learned today are definitely be going to used inside the portfolio website. So the thing is, I've only written lorem ipsum here there. So you have to write your own content inside. So you need to know what elements you need to actually work on. So you just have to be well versed with the element tags, and you should not be scared. Like if there are so many division tags or whatever. Like you have to start getting familiarized with the syntax out there, because if you get into backend development, you will get ready-made HTML files from your colleagues or whatever. So you need to have a good knowledge that what kind of, like, where the element has to be provided with the backend. Like if your teammates tell you to add the backend section to a specific section, but if you don't know how to navigate through the section and what to do, then that's an issue. So that's why we just do. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we do in the HTML part. And thank you, Manan. Okay. So Manan, are you a Symbiosis student or outside college? Okay. Cool. Guys, anyone has any doubts regarding this? Oh, nice. So guys, would you like to end the session now? We will continue the session tomorrow at 11 p.m., 11:30ish, 11 a.m. My bad, sorry, a.m. my bad, a.m. So since anyone has no doubts, so I'll just end the session now. If you all have any doubts after this, you all could just ping me on the Discord server or WhatsApp. My number is there on the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Varsha, Aksa, all these people. You all have been an amazing audience. I hope that you all have learned something today. Thank you, Akshansh. Thank you, Deep Patolia. So I'll just end the session now, guys. Okay. Thank you, Unnati. Thank you, Antrix. So thank you, everyone. Whoever's thanking me for the session. Thank you to all y'all. And I'll just end the session. See you all tomorrow, guys. Just revise it, okay? Bye, guys.